So, I'd like to talk about inclusion in song and also just in general, sort of times when we're interacting with a child or a group, especially a group. It's very frequent in songs and stories to discuss sort of normative families. And it can be very difficult in a song or a story about everyone's mom loves them to someone who does not have a mom or has recently lost them. So it's really important when we talk about families, like in the song Grandpa's Farm. I would definitely discuss a little bit about that and say this song is about a friend who has a grandpa. Some friends have grandpas, and this grandpa has a farm. Some people have farms, right? And not to try and put too much value on it, but it's just a fact that some people have grandpas and some friends, oh, they don't have a grandpa. That's just a difference, right? I wouldn't say, oh, that's so sad or anything like that, right? We really, we really can't tell what's going on at home for people. So it's important not to make any sort of assumptions about what kind of relationship they have with the people at home or what kind of people are, in fact, taking care of them. So, also, of course, when we say inclusion these days, we're talking about gender, and there's definitely no reason to gender children. It's not necessary to help with their child development in any way. That's a cultural artifact that they will be picking up outside of school. So, whatever they bring, we're just going to take what they bring from the outside, just like it would be for a religion or for their family background. We're just going to say, oh, okay, and just move on. Because we don't need to teach culture, we need to teach child development. Culture is for outside of school, and that's where they learn that. So we can avoid some of the lyrics and we can just say, a friend is the most common way to avoid gendering a person. We can call them a one, like no one. They used to use that as a gender neutral pronoun in the olden days, so it can sound kind of old fashioned. We can also use they, like, John, can you go get like Sally's backpack? They need it instead of she needs it. It's just an easy way. It's not really correct English, but it works just fine. And it avoids some of the problems of the smaller children that have yet to really realize and understand how gender works. So, since that's just not part of the developmental purview, like that's not what our job is, we just wait for that to develop by itself from the outside forces of the culture they live in. Um, just like just like their religion, we're not going to tell them how they are supposed to be celebrating their own religions or their own practices. We can ask them what they do at home, and then whatever they say, we're just going to say, wow, that's what Sally does at home. Okay. That's not necessarily even an invitation for us to share what we do that's different. Only if they ask, we can say, oh, I celebrate it in my own way, and this is how I do it, right? Or I have a father, and my father taught me something, right? In a neutral way that's not trying to say that everyone has a father or that all the fathers are taking care of their children the way they should be. So we also want to take into account their differences. Some kids may not be able to speak and may not be able to interact in the same kind of way that a normative child would, which often does draw the attention of a large group, right? So we do need to protect them from that in some way by just, acknowledging that, like, oh, well, they're still learning to like this, or that's the way they enjoy participating. Like, we all like to enjoy things in our own way. And in that way, we can honor their differences and explain their differences quickly without leading to any sort of value judgments about that, which can be very detrimental to people that are just learning and trying, because they can pick up on being different from the group. But if we allow for all the differences, it can mean a lot. So try and be as inclusive as possible with your language and with your teaching. It's really important to those of us that don't have the same sort of backgrounds that you see in books.